Hi, welcome back. I have talked about early influences in my developing music life, right? And I stated that I was going to move along, didn't I? But I tried to get out. There are two particular influence I think I need to mention. Um, One is my frequent running into a rather well-known 60s drummer. It turns out we had a merchant in common, and I would run into him, figuratively, quite often. A drummer by the name of Rashid Ali. And we talk shop, and one day he asked me, he said, so who's your favorite drummer? I didn't have to think about it. Tony Williams. He says, but Tony's so limited. Now I'm thinking to myself, Tony invents a new beat and a new syncopation for every tune, new fills, new approaches. As far as I hear, new concepts, invents things that I could not even begin to think of in those days. And then I'm thinking of Rashid's work, and it's pretty much, to me, all more of the same thing after a certain point, right? So I know in his mind, or I know in my mind, avant-garde is something that, yes, is so sporadic and so spontaneous and so grabbing from disparate and opposite ends and cross ends that it never repeats itself, perhaps, in this lifetime, maybe, huh? If you start the clock. But it's more of the same. So what I'm trying to say here is that whole way of approaching thinking about music, thinking about drumming, thinking about art, began at that time. Because up until then, it was, I either liked something or I didn't, right? It either touched me or it didn't. Sparked my enthusiasm or curiosity or it didn't. And I really had not taken the time to ask myself, or had not asked myself, why is it that way? What is it about this or that? What are some of the nuances, elements, concepts involved? Okay? Well, that became a very important shift in how I would come to art in general, in a more assertive way rather than just being run over by it, right? That kind of thing. And while I'm at it, I'd just like to state how appreciative I am of these individuals who have developed our social network. I could give them a hug. Anyone involved in what I do, or the means in which I get it to you. Because how could it have been made more easy for me to just have fun doing what I love to do, and at the same time share it with any individual who might be interested. I know I would have been interested back then. Back then. So, right? Thank you. And much more or future successes to you in your brilliant ideas and how you implement them and affect our lives with them. And another purpose of what I do, more on the commercial side, let's say, is a hope at this point. A hope that perhaps some of this material, or that this material will somehow lead to perhaps a soundtrack and some really cool indie film. So if there are any aspiring directors out there who think that my work in some way could be applied to what you are doing, then please give me a ring. I'll be glad to sit down and talk with you. Another early influence. My dad would come home sometimes at hours that were not necessarily, let's say, conducive to having conversations with a young one. But at any rate, he'd be inspired sometimes to share his thoughts, and it didn't matter what time it was. And that was great for me. But there was this one special night, I'm awakened with the smell of my dad's combination of tobacco and scotch and canoe cologne and cleaner fluid, right? And he says, "Come here, I want to show you something." I'm wiping the sleep out of my eyes, and down the hallway there's a red glow. He takes me by the hand, and as we approach the room at the end of the hallway, I'm made aware that that red glow is from the light of a stereo he had turned on. He engages the mechanism on the turntable, and he says to me before the arm falls onto the record, "I want you to listen to this, and I want you to play just like this. Play like this." And then Benny Goodman, "Sing, Sing, Sing," fires up. I was instantly brought to another world, suspended somewhere with these audio sensations running through my every fiber. And before the record ended, he said, "That's Gene Krupa playing the drums." And today I would have said maybe some other experience. I was just about to ask you that. And life has never been the same. Let's have some fun. Gene Krupa. I was up in Yonkers and I was asking a gentleman who was walking down Gene Krupa Lane, and I said, could you please tell me where Gene Krupa actually lived? Gene who? He said, Gene who? What? Where? What? I asked someone else, Gene who? I only tried a few more times and it became clear that these people who lived on this street had no idea who I was talking about. But there still lives in many of us the memory of being touched by Gene Krupa's drums. And most of us will never forget that experience. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was a lot of fun. Thank you.